Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are, and I'm really so glad to be here today. And today is episode 6. And as always, I promise that I want to give you just a little bit of verbal caffeine that will energize your social media marketing so you can actually be that business that everyone's talking about. So today I want to talk about storytelling, and storytelling matters in social media marketing. I have a quote here from Gary Vaynerchuk that says, "Storytelling is by far the most underrated skill when it comes to business." Now, Gary, he's known for his mastery of social media marketing, and his quality of storytelling is amazing. He actually, I feel, is the king of social media marketing. And one of the things he's saying in this quote is that creating this skill actually takes time. I actually have been practicing my art of storytelling, and on my personal profile, I've been actually doing this whole thing about riding my bike. But more so is that I had always had this thing about Just a Gal from Norwalk, Connecticut. I put this bike story inside Just a Gal from Norwalk, Connecticut. So not only am I riding around Norwalk, but I'm telling little stories as I ride. So, for example, yesterday I went to this pond that I used to skate on when I was a little girl. All this to say is that what I'm doing on social media is creating a story that people will want to check back and say, hey, I wonder where she's riding today. And that's the whole idea. You want to create that heart connection, as I call it. And interestingly enough, there are so many brands that do it well. And I kind of shared that last month with talking about those brands that do branding well and how they tell stories that really get their message out. Interestingly enough, it's important to know that social media storytelling is basically the process of using social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, to tell stories about your brand, your products, or whatever, just to captivate your audience, because that's where you want to get them. You want to get them to be captivated with everything that you say, everything you write, almost getting them to be, with your stories, raving fans. Here's the story. There'll always be stories. Stories allow people such as me to share my knowledge, my emotions, bring out my identity, talk about some truth, and try to make sense of the world that we kind of live in. We're conditioned, and I think about the many stories I read when I was a little girl, to make decisions. And that's how we kind of find value, meaning that, so say Nike, for instance, they tell the story. It makes me make an educated decision about if I will buy Nike. And it also helps me find value, added value, not just the quality of the product of Nike, but just the value in being able to identify. Another example of this, and I always use this, I've used this in other podcasts that I've done. For instance, when you're thinking about buying a car, what do? You kind of look at the reviews, because the reviews actually tell a story. And that actually makes sense. Or any other product. A lot of times I'll go to a product, I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it, but I'll read a review. It's the same thing like if you're traveling and you're going to like this resort, you're going to read the reviews. And if 10 out of 10 are crappy reviews, guess what? You're not going to go to that hotel or resort, I should say. And here's the thing, is like with the car, it's what you're looking at is experiences that these people are having with the car. So it's you're hearing stories about experience. And these stories work the same in business. Remember, when you're thinking about storytelling, people are trying to figure out how they should interact with you as a business. And I can honestly say that stories are a big factor. And here's the biggest thing, why? Why in the world should they care about what you're doing or how you're doing it or your experience, or you're telling a story of the experience with using this product? Because, why should they care? But the story tells you why you should care. I'm buying this product because it's safe. I'm buying this product because it helps me get things done faster. I'm buying this service because it helps me get things done faster. So think about that. Think about experience. Think about why the audience that you're telling a story to should really care. So here's another thing, is stories really do sell. I tell this all the time. It's like, I happen to share essential oils, doTERRA essential oils, with my friends and family and acquaintances. Why? Because my experience with doTERRA essential oils has been amazing and they work for me. So why wouldn't I tell somebody the story about how, for instance, I was on a Zyrtec Benadryl cocktail every day for years. And then in 2017, I started using peppermint, lemon, and lavender from doTERRA. And what ended up happening was it helped me. And so the stories, I have stories with oils. I have stories with products. I have stories with services. I have stories with people coming out to my house and fixing something for me. We all have stories. But here's the thing about why stories sell so much. Another quote, a great quote by Seth Godin, says, people do not buy goods and services. They buy relationships, stories, and magic. So are you producing stories and magic and creating relationships? I've always said this before. Everything I do is about relationships and creating that magic between us. That leads me to this, is that stories connect us to other people. Stories connect us to products, services. They do. And so here's the thing. It's really about the heart. It's that, again, that heart connection. Another really cool quote is an Indian proverb. It says, tell me a fact and I'll learn. Tell me a truth and I'll believe. But tell me a story and it will live in my heart forever. And it's true. I can recall many stories that have been told to me and how I still remember them because they made a heart connection with me. And you know that. You all have like these old family stories, in fact, or new family stories that get told over and over again. And it's not a great story to most people, but it's a great story because it made a heart connection with you. And especially those family stories, hysterical family stories or fun family stories, you're going to remember those. You're going to remember the time that you went skiing and you lost your ski down the hill. And, those are the things that, those are the heart connections. And so when you're selling a product or a service, if you make that heart connection, it's going to go, people are going to remember. I shared last week the car story that Subaru did, the commercial, and why it had such a heart connection with me. Because I have a large family, and at one time I used to drive them all around town, and the commercial really was about family, and it was about safety, and it made a heart connection with me. And so it could be a purchase decision later on in life because of that heart connection. So stories do really create a purpose. Do it right, because have a purpose with those stories. But the purpose isn't your purpose. It's much bigger than that. The purpose is that you want to make that heart connection. I think it's key that you make that heart connection. Create an action with your stories. So you want to make sure that at the end of the story that it's going to cause people to have some kind of action. Now, it could be a heart connection. It could be, oh my gosh, I want to check this out even more. Or, oh my gosh, I want to come back to this page or group or Instagram channel. And eventually, once the whole know, like, and trust happens, which happens a way lot faster with stories, people eventually have that heart connection and they will buy. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to say, please buy this product. You don't have to say that. Tell a story and let them make the heart connection. And, and then the other thing is sometimes, when it's the purpose is just trying to create a value memory, such as that car commercial that I talk about. The value there is family, more important than a car. You know what I'm saying? And so these are, it really, if I could sum this whole podcast up for you today, I would pretty much say that storytelling is about making a heart connection. Here's the thing. If you learned anything today, I want you to start crafting that skill of storytelling. Make your posts about a story. Make it fun. Enjoy it. Relax. It's okay. Nobody is going to say you made a mistake there. Stories tell everything. And I want to really create this whole thing about heart connections. So here's the thing. If you are, not really knowing how to do stories and you need a little help, feel free to drop me a line and, definitely don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and, drop me an email at Lorraine@bizgonesocial.com and let's see if I can help you.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram @BizGoneSocial for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.